All right. We are live. What's up? What is up? Happy Monday.
It's Monday. It's Monday.
So what's up with you? I know, but it's like it seemed like
Be
these
forever.
months, yes, because I was like, oh
It's
yes.
the third Monday. It's
I know, but it feel like it's been so longer but my time, my sense of time has been trash. So since
what's that? Time is moving pretty fast, but it's also moving. Yeah, I don't know. It's so much going on, so you just can't keep up with everything on a day to day. It's so much going on in this world of ours. Hey y'all, it's been a minute. How y'all doing?
no, right.
Yes.
Uh,
Time keeps moving fastly, but I'm glad to be here because I be like missing out on my little local government when I don't
I
talk.
mean, I mean,
I be like, I
do
want to
you
with local government.
don't be you don't have to gas us up here on Monday Night Live. It's fine, Savannah. Sometimes I be like, damn, is this do we need it? Yes, we do, Kelly. We need it. We need to keep this work going.
Yeah, it's because it's needed. It ain't enough going around. That's why, and it's needed. So I agree. Yes, I definitely. Life is enough to tap into. So trying to tap into local government, yes, we need that too. We do. So
Oh, bless it, bless it, bless it. But we are here. We're gonna get into it. Um, and I know you'll appreciate where we'll be starting off tonight, Vanna, with your county people, because
girl,
you know
for the
it's
count.
been it's been all city as of late. Um, so
Cause the county ain't got nothing going now.
well, I mean, okay, we because you know what we're gonna get into because this is big. This is very important.
This is
So
important. It
y'all, so
is.
St. Louis County residents out there, please listen because this is going to impact you, okay, one way or another. So I don't know if y'all heard, but our governor signed into law Senate Bill 190, which basically freezes property taxes
Mm,
for seniors throughout the state. However, see, this is where it gets interesting. So the state passed this, but municipalities have to opt in for their seniors to be able to participate in this program. So obviously, St. Louis County, they are looking to be the first municipality to opt into this program to support their seniors. They, you know what I'm saying? So, y'all.
jump
So
in.
this is Board Bill 114, and it's actually technically up for final passage. It was last week, and before the county council meeting, they did have a committee of the whole meeting to really discuss. Again, for the county version, it will be Board Bill 114. Um, so the meeting was interesting. And this slide, this slide that you see here, um, this was taken, obviously, it was a screenshot from their discussion. So the gent you see in the corner of the screen, he is State Representative Ben Keith Keatley. I believe that's his name. He represents like the area, like around Chesterfield, the Chesterfield area. And so he's been really, he was a huge advocate for Senate Bill 190 passing. And so obviously he's trying to make sure that St. Louis County, they're able to pass Board Bill 114. Now, as you see on the slide, I want people to understand that this doesn't mean that seniors won't have to pay any property taxes. That is not what this does.
Mm,
What it's saying is it freezes the property taxes that seniors have to pay because every year it goes up.
mm,
So what they're saying is it won't for seniors. They'll pay the same amount, okay, across the board, or depending on their assessment. You know what I mean, all that stuff.
mhm.
But they won't pay more than that.
That's interesting.
So there's a discussion during the committee of the whole meeting. Most of the people there were advocates for the bill. Um, and then they started talking about the numbers because an issue some of the county council members have is, how is this going to impact budget, because St. Louis County broke. So during the committee of the whole meeting, girl, they started talking about these numbers and, walking through how they got the numbers compared to the county's numbers. And I completely zoned out. Not gonna lie. Sorry, y'all. Y'all can go to Boxcast and you can listen to it if you want. But so that was the committee of the whole meeting. And then fast forward to the full meeting. And then Vanna, I want to get, because I want you to hear these clips, and then I want to get your take on what is expressed.
Okay.
So this first clip that I'm going to play for y'all, if it pops up, there we go, so this is Councilman Harder. Councilman Harder is the sponsor for Board Bill 114. So he kind of lays out again, like what this board bill, what it is, right, and what it isn't. So kind of listen to what he has to say.
The bill that I have, 114, the essence of why it's only a page and a half is that all we're doing is authorizing whether we're going to join the state. We're going to join St. Louis County to the state bill to implement this tax credit for our seniors. It is not in our purview to add or subtract from that bill going forward. That's up to our state legislators, senators, and representatives to do that if they choose to do that at a later date. All this bill does is say, should the residents, the senior residents of St. Louis County, be part of this legislation? So, but we can listen to more of those and get clarification on that. But that's been what's been told to me and my interpretation of the bill and the legal side of this bill when it comes to St. Louis County. So hopefully we'll bring those questions up again next week at the Committee of the Whole.
So again, he said what it is, what it isn't. It's just simply them opting in. Okay. So there's more. There's more discussion. So check out this exchange between him and Councilwoman Webb as the plot thickens.
Discuss, I stated in the actual committee of the whole, if we can have stakeholders come together and work together to address some of the main concerns, whether there be being able to have some type of measure and also take into other accounts which taxing districts will be impacted. I misspoke. I did not have that clarity that we will have no authority to have any inputs on the implementation. We, being the local council, St. Louis County Council, will have no authority to make any implementation suggestions or changes to this legislation. It is truly, as Councilman Harder just clarified, either opt in or don't opt in. And at this time, knowing that we will have no way to impact that, we will wait on our state legislators to do any type of implementation design. I am not comfortable with opting in at this time either. So looking forward to the discussion next week. But we definitely, by having not having any authority to make any implementation changes to this, if you have to either opt in or opt out, that definitely does not help with us trying to make sure that this is done with due diligence. And so I did want to correct that because I did misspeak earlier in the committee of the whole meeting when I said maybe we can come together with stakeholders. And now I have learned that we will not have any of that authority to exercise. Councilman Harder?
Just to clarify that, we do have input on how it will be rolled out. We just don't have input when it comes to adding more rules to the legislation without having our state legislators do that. We have no input there, such as adding or subtracting from the rules that have been set. When it comes to how we implement it and how we roll it out and how we manage it, from a collecting standpoint or revenue standpoint, there is some wiggle room for each county to do what they normally do when it comes to this. So just to understand the guidelines.
All right, Vanna, what you think?
I think I agree with learning how the state suggests to implement this, which sounds like that's what councilwoman or chairwoman, right? She chairwoman now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shalonda Webb was saying, but also it sounds like they have some authority to implement it. But I think I'm with her. Like, let's wait and see what we really truly opting into, because it just seems like right now they have a baseline of this is what you like. There's no cap. Like, there's no. I mean, there's a cap. You can't charge, I guess, and that's, I don't know, how much is it? What's the cap? So, providing more insight on what this truly means and what this is, I think it'll be great for the elderly, especially those who are like on, low income and month to month. But what you said, we broke. So what's the plan of we are like, so what's the plan for them to, get the money back that we are, technically helping the seniors save? Or yeah, I guess they're gonna get into that too. But yeah, like, how we gonna get this money back? Because we need that money plus more money.
Clearly.
We need to figure out how we gonna make some money versus keep cutting money. Like, hey, y'all, we need money. Oh Lord. Anyway.
I know. So obviously, okay. So there is one more clip. So there was a little bit more discussion, speaking to what Vanna is alluding to, but there's a bit more discussion between I think Councilwoman Clancy. She had, some clarifying questions for the bill sponsor, Councilman Harder. So let me stop, because people think I promise you I'm not being shady. But I want y'all to listen to this, because again, like, we're talking about the budget, right? Because this is going to impact
the budget.
Yeah. If this passes. So I want y'all to listen to this exchange real quick.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Does that mean that we can either do an across the board tax freeze or not? We could not have a bill that has a means test, for example.
Correct, without changing the state legislature, what they've already put in place.
Okay, and I also want to clarify, you said that this just enjoins us to a bill to a state legislative bill. That bill is it's not a bill anymore, it's a policy, correct?
A policy now that the governor has signed.
Okay. Do you dispute that this would cost St. Louis County, our school districts, and fire and other public entities and public goods, tens of millions of dollars in lost revenue?
Well, at the meeting today, we had a robust discussion about where the number is coming from and how the assumptions are made when it comes to how this would affect school districts, fire districts, and the like. We talked about that. It's less than what was originally told us based on the witnesses that were given today. And you have that in your packet, so if you get a chance to look at that. But at the same time, yes, it's going to cost some growth, because this is a freeze on growth. Seniors will still pay their normal property tax. This will just protect them from future growth if they're over 62.
And Councilman Harder, you have been on the council the longest. You have seen our budget continue to grow without keeping up the pace with the revenue we need to bring in. It seems to me that this is just adding fuel to that fire. Given your tenure in the council, how do you square that?
I square it quite well with the demand that's out there with our seniors. I square it well with knowing that we're probably going to be raising taxes from this council, possibly going forward, which would be a lot greater than what this tax freeze would amount to. So seniors are going to pay either way, whether we approve this or not. Seniors are going to get a tax increase out of this council, I think.
That's it. Okay. You are the first council person I've heard say that there will be a tax increase.
No, I'm not saying it's definite, but I'm reading the tea leaves from the 9th floor and other places that they're going to dump this in our lap come October. And we're going to be looking at probably some kind of tax increase from what's up there. We also have a lot of RAMS money we're sitting on. We also have an opiate settlement money we're sitting on. There is other methods that we can get revenue, but at the same time, I don't hear anybody talking any cuts anywhere along the line. So we've got to look at everything.
So, Savannah, you're a St. Louis County resident. How'd you feel? How did you feel listening to that?
I mean, and then the way I don't know, because from what I've heard over the past time that being engaged in this space, they were talking about using the RAMS settlements I thought to help with the budget. But I'm assuming that's not happening. And I mean, it's interesting to hear about this opioid money that they sitting on too. Like, if y'all sitting on all this money, why aren't y'all utilizing it to help the budget that y'all just said that we was in a deficit? Like, I'm confused. As a St. Louis County resident, I am confused. Because one minute we're broke, the next minute we're cutting. He said something about cuts, but this doesn't sound necessarily, it's a cut, but it's necessary, like it's cutting revenue. It's not necessarily like a service. You know what I mean? So I don't know what he was meaning by that. That kind of was throwing me off. But I just feel like it sounds great, but again, if you can't cover or find ways to cover the money, we're losing out. And again, like she said, it is going to impact. And we already talking about how the state just cut, funding for schools and libraries and things like that too. So like, is that what we going to have to do to make sure that, people, this program is implemented? Where are these taxes going to come from? Who's going to be taxed? How are you talking about taxing? Like, what is this tax increase that might come down? Where is it coming down from? Is it this, state tax? Or is it the city? Or is it both? Food is already, like, the day-to-day expenses are already high, including rent. So it sounds like a lot of,
St. Louis County fam out there, if you are listening, if you hear our voices, I'm sure you have the same questions. I mean, Vanna she just rattled off like 11 questions.
Yeah, I did.
Please reach out to your St. Louis County council person. If you don't know who that is, reach out to me, Kelly at transform314.org. Because I think we need to have these kinds of conversations. I know with the budget, I know the county executive, he was making his rounds throughout St. Louis County doing these budget town halls or something with this budget simulation tool.
I ain't heard of it, but
so I think there was one person that said that they had attended. But again, I just know because I peruse the St. Louis County website way too frequently. But I do think that this is part of a larger conversation around.
But let's again now real quick. Even if that's the case, okay, you just said they posted on their site. Who actually is really going to the
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I saw it. I did mention it. I try to amplify within my little network the best that I can. But well, that you already know what that's about, Vanna. But I don't know. This is happening. So I'm gonna tell y'all right now. So this bill is on final passage right now. Harder mentioned having a follow-up committee of the whole meeting because the last one they had, it only had the folks that were supporting the bill. So there wasn't anyone from like St. Louis County's budget department or budget folks. they weren't there. Other folks representing St. Louis County weren't present either. So to speak to the impact, right? So I'm assuming the next committee of the whole, hopefully they will be present to really speak to some tangible dollars and cents on how this will impact St. Louis County's bottom line if it is passed, and how they're gonna find out with this extra coins. So to be continued, something I want to lift up as well is that, let's say the St. Louis County Council doesn't pass this bill. There is still the opportunity for this to go on the ballot and for St. Louis County residents, for y'all to vote on this mug. So even if they did it, there is still an opportunity. There's still the potential for St. Louis County to opt into this. So,
and y'all already know what's given at the polls. So,
I mean, that's who vote.
Yeah, faithfully too. So they gonna come running for that, and I don't blame them. I would too. As an homeowner, I would vote for that too. It was gonna cut my tax.
That's everybody. Sure.
But also thinking it, like I said, intentionally about as a whole. If we lose the money and we ain't got money, how we gonna cut more money without replacing it? That's my thing. Creativity to replace the revenue. How can we make revenue? Everybody talking about budget cuts and cuts. Ain't nobody talking about innovative ways to make more money. That should be the problem solver. But that's just me, y'all. I don't know nothing. That's why I'm sitting over here at the Hood Talks podcast.
Okay. But for real, y'all, please reach out to your county council members. If you do, holler at me, because I would love to know what that conversation was given, and how can we really amplify this beyond having to click around on the St. Louis County website. City highlights. Yes, city highlights. So I mentioned during, I think last week's Monday Night Live, that last Friday it was going to be their last meeting before they went on their summer break for a couple months. However, because there's so much action and activity going down, too many bills, not enough time. So their last Board of Aldermen meeting is actually going to be on Thursday, this Thursday. So one more meeting, and then they on break for 2 months. Which, man, I'm gonna have a lot more free time in my life. Okay,
that is a long time. I mean, that's a long little break too.
So, all right. First highlight. So I know everybody named Mama talk about how jacked up the streets are. So I don't know if y'all recall, but there are not one but two bills. Using ARPA funding that was passed. It was at least a year ago, I believe. That would really improve our trash streets. So there was an update on like what's happening with these bills and how it's coming down the pipe during the Public Utilities and Committee meeting last week. And so there are a series of slides like we're just going to kind of talk through really quickly, because I just want people to just kind of have an understanding of like what these projects are. And I'll also share a clip speaking to the timeline too, right? So we talk about $43.5 million, y'all, in improvements citywide. So the overview of those improvements, so 28 million of that is going to repave and improve 5 major north-south corridors. 12 million of that is going to implement 5 traffic studies, and 3.5 million of that is going to 10 crash hotspot, the improvement of crash hotspots. So it's 10 of them, and then there were an additional 2 in partnership with Great Rivers Greenway. So, because I know people who are like, well, what are we talking about these 5 corridors? So as you can see on the slide, and again, if people really want to listen to the full presentation, you can go to YouTube, City of St. Louis. public utilities and infrastructure meeting, and you can listen to the full presentation from folks from the city speaking to this in greater detail. But again, the repaving corridor is 28 mil. So we got Goodfellow, Union, Kings Highway, Grand, Jefferson. And it's pretty much, again, north to south, you know what I'm saying? I also wanted to lift up, so these projects will include repaving, so accessibility, and sidewalk improvements. So I just kind of wanted to lift that up. So that's one project. The next one, the traffic study implementation. So that's $12 million. So that is Goodfellow, Kings Highway, Grand, Chippewa, and downtown. So I know like the Kings Highway one from Lindell to MLK, I remember going to those meetings last summer, which is a whole other conversation for a whole nother day about my experience. But that will be the recommendations from what they found will be implemented using that coin. So that's another project. 3.5 mil crash hotspots. So again, crash hotspots, basically this is where, literally the block is hot, where you have people crashing, folks on bikes, folks in cars, folks walking, crashing. So, through the information they found, they were able to, again, these were the top 10 points where it was real, and it has been real. So again, an interesting, representation of places throughout the city of St. Louis. So you got that. And then we have the additional.
That's a lot of projects.
I know. Yeah, I know. The additional crash hotspots, along Grand Avenue, through the Brick Line Greenway. So Grand and Natural Bridge and Grand and Montgomery. So, woo.
I'm being petty. Is a picture that they provided?
Yes.
I was trying to look and see.
Yeah, it's some yeah. And I'm looking, nope, you're not about to get me caught up on her. Vanna, you're not about to get me.
I was just wondering.
Dang, okay, there we go. Track, okay, all right, got it. So I want to play this clip because yes, y'all, that is a lot of projects. That's a lot.
It's a lot of projects.
So what's the plan? What's the schedule? So I want to play this clip. Scott Ogilvy, who he works for the planning department in the city of St. Louis. He kind of speaks about, what the schedule is giving, to get these projects done. So listen to what he had to say.
So I think key to note is that the engineering work is now beginning. Board of Public Service spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time. I'd say they've been acting quickly, but they've been thinking carefully about how to move these projects through. And as John mentioned earlier, they've been assigned to 3 different traffic engineers who are now actively engaged with the projects. So the design is starting now. There'll be a public engagement phase after we have some preliminary designs, and that public engagement phase will come this winter. So winter of 23 and early 24. Then those 3 firms will complete final engineering next year through mid 2024. And then we'll get to the bidding phase. So these are all really substantial projects. They need to be bid out to construction firms to build them. I think one thing I will note is that the bids are being packaged. So in locations where you have a repaving corridor and a hotspot, those are not separate projects. Those are bid together. They're designed as a single project and they will be built as a single project. And much the same in areas where you have a repaving corridor and a traffic study implementation. Those are not being treated as separate things. They're being treated as one integrated project that is designed together and will be constructed together. So then we'll get to construction. We hope to start some of the smaller projects later in 2024. We think the bulk of the work will happen in 2025. And of course, there's the deadline to complete all this work towards the end of 2026 when all the ARPA funding needs to be completely spent.
Yeah, they got, so yes, y'all, they got to get all of this stuff done
By
by the end of
2026.
2026. Yes.
That's only what, 3 years for the most
I mean, yeah, like we pretty much, we're halfway.
We're almost right through 2023, so that ain't even really shit. Yeah, don't really count for real. Because he said late 2023. Now through late 2023. So late could be like October, December, November.
Yeah,
you look at the Christmas holiday, they really don't be nowhere. So
nope.
They might as well just say 2024. No.
For real. So
I want to know what's preliminary engineering, because why you ain't doing public engagement first? What is the preliminary engineering?
Yeah,
I'm interested in knowing that.
And clearly I'm nobody's engineer and I'm not in this space, but I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's something drafted, you know, and then just so that they can have something to start with.
Plans, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. So when they do their public engagement, you know, they're like, hey, y'all, what you think about this? How should we tweak this? Again, not my field. I'm not an engineer, but I'm assuming that, but I could be absolutely wrong. So I want to lift this up, Vanna. I want to lift this up. And we talked about this before at some point about ward capital.
Mm-hmm.
So for my folks that aren't aware, in the city of St. Louis, currently as it stands, each ward gets a certain amount of coin, which is referred to as ward capital funds. That's generated through like a super small sales tax from the city of St. Louis. And each ward gets a piece of that. I know when we had 28 wards, I want to say every ward got like $300,000 maybe a year. And the alderperson
that's a lot.
allocated where the funding went. Now, those coins couldn't be spent on anything. Like they were restricted to fixing different aspects of infrastructure. So lighting, speed bumps, humps, whatever you want to call it, park improvements, like things of that nature, sidewalks, maybe. I think that was part of it too. So I'm lifting up this ward capital because y'all know that, like the paving, right? That's our streets department. Even though they have these projects they got to work on, they still have ward capital projects and other projects as well. Everybody is understaffed. And so some of these projects have been held up for years, Vanna. So they still have those projects on top of
the ones that the individuals have been requesting. Wow. They should use some of that money to recruit some help. Can y'all contract some people? Because that is a lot. That's gonna be a lot. And if they don't get it done, not saying that they won't, we not saying that. I'm just saying, technically, if they don't get it done, they lose that money because 2026 is the end for ARPA funding, right?
Yep.
So, well, I'm gonna need them to. Yeah, that's interesting.
To be continued, you all. To be continued. Again, I'm really interested when this public engagement part starts. So once I hear about things, y'all know I like to share information. So once I hear it, y'all will hear about it too. So
wait a minute, go back. Public engagement.
So I think key to note is that
Sorry.
Why they doing it? Like, I want to know why.
Vanna, girl, you asking too many questions. I'm obviously I'm joking. Vanna,
But I mean, this is the thing. Like, they share basic information, and then like you gotta literally follow up and run after them to even get more information. And you know how I feel, Kelly. Like, shout out to you. Thank God for you. But everybody can't do that. So it's just like,
I know I can barely do it. So
can y'all make this more accessible and more like educational, informative? Like, what is a preliminary engineering? What does that mean? What do you mean when you say you're going to do that? What steps does that mean to take, that you have to take to do that? Public engagement. How are you going to, what are you looking to engage the community? How are you looking? Are you using money for that? I'm just asking. So yeah, it's just interesting for me to like see this, but there's no government.
to be continued, because to be continued.
Oh god,
this is not gonna be the last y'all hear of this from our platform, y'all.
So I think,
Jeez. Okay. And the fun continues. So next up, y'all. So my city fam, let's rewind back in April. Everybody named Mama was running, you know what I'm saying, if they wanted to serve on a Board of Aldermen. So we had that happening. And also on the ballot, if y'all recall, we also ended up voting, I mean, like a huge majority of us, on establishing a charter commission for the city of St. Louis. And essentially that commission would be responsible for making recommendations on how we can change our city's charter, which is basically our city's constitution, y'all. Mm-hmm. And that mug ain't been updated in over 100 years. Period. So,
100 years.
Yeah. Like nothing nothing substantial. Yeah, in over 100 years. So this is a big deal as far as who will be on this commission. So, and now basically, because I told y'all the Board of Aldermen, they finna go on a break for 2 months. So, and according to the language, the ballot language, with this commission, y'all, they have to have their first meeting by like August 15th.
What?
So obviously through the process, the mayor has to approve the candidates and the Board of Aldermen. They have to give their stamp of approval as well. So time is ticking. So they gotta, so this is it. So I was listening into, and it's really funny, y'all. I literally came across this meeting for real because I'm like, oh, okay, charter commission, da 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 da. And then I came across this conversation. I was like, look at that. Look at God. So this was the Legislation and Rules Committee meeting. And they were talking about, again, the charter commission, the candidates, but most importantly, the process and how these folks were chosen. Because again, the mayor, she has to give her stamp of approval on these folks. So it ain't just on the Board of Aldermen. The mayor also has some skin in the game. So I'm going to play this clip. This is Jared Boyd, who is the chief of staff for our mayor, Tashara Jones, as he speaks to what the process entailed with the final 9 folks being chosen by the mayor. And he and Alderman Vollmer, who's OG on the Board of Aldermen, they kind of had a little discussion back and forth about the process. So let's check out this clip.
After looking at the resumes of those people, 3 people, as stated, were nominated by multiple alder people. All of those candidates were selected based not just on their qualifications, but based upon the fact that multiple alder people thought that those applicants were worthy of one of the 3 nominations. So 3 of the 9 were considered by multiple alder people, leaving 6 slots for additional participation. And, you know, the mayor has been clear that she does not have she would like to see the Charter Commission modernize city government and hopefully improve city government, but there are not specific outcomes that she is interested in pursuing. She thinks that by putting smart, capable, community-oriented people with different perspectives in a room with resources, that we can get to a place, hopefully, where we come out with a good working product. So in really looking at those 6, as stated before, we're not pursuing any of these people with a specific outcome in mind for what will occur with the Charter Commission. So we looked at skill sets that we thought would be helpful to have in a room when we're talking about city government. And one of the people that we selected is Travis Sheridan in North, and what he brings is someone who is experienced in economic development, and he has exposure to different cities. So he works for Wexford, has worked in economic development, and in doing so has worked in multiple cities, both in the United States and internationally. So he understands what it's like to do business and work on initiatives in multiple cities. He's also vice chair of the St. Louis Economic Development Partnership. So in addition to working on land use in different cities, he understands the regional landscape for economic development. Small business people often interface with government, and Scott Intagliata is someone that we know of that's a small business owner and invests in several small businesses. So in addition to having community involvement, he can bring the lens of a small business owner and investor to the Charter Commission. What are some of the hurdles or opportunities that small business people have when they interface with city government?
Before if I can't, I'm sure that I'm happy that all these people have applied and are going, and I'm as far as reading about them. But having nominated 3 people myself, and apparently none of them were ever contacted. So there was never any contact made of any means with any of these candidates at all. There was no reach out for any of these folks.
Not necessarily. I think there are some people.
Is that yes or no? Were any of them contacted during the process?
Some people reached out to our office with questions about the process. Some people reached out to their alderperson, who in turn reached out to our office. Mm-hmm. So there were people who proactively reached out to our office. And as I said before, we're really looking at skill sets. And that guided the remaining 6 selections for the Charter Commission.
So, I want to there's another clip, a follow-up clip I want to play with Alderman Vollmer. And again, he rarely does this. I mean, he's the comedic relief, I will say, for the Board of Aldermen. He always wears a shirt with a tropical print on it. He's very low key. He jokes, but he had the time.
Serious. I'm gonna say he was serious today.
He had the time. So I'm gonna play the second part of this clip, and then we're gonna get into into what they were talking about.
I've been down here a long time, and you've never known me to be disruptive or obstructive or anything. In these times where what we're dealing with is a very, very important commission here, I was somewhat disappointed to find out that there was no personal interviews done of any type. I did have candidates reach out to me saying that they had not heard anything from the mayor's office. I reached out to the mayor's office, and I actually never heard back from anyone, or they've never heard from anyone either. It's, you know, an age where we're seating people, and I'm an old man. I've had people lie to me on resumes before, and I'm saying that any of these people have, but I just want to make it publicly known that there has been nothing done in the way of an interview with any of these candidates at all. So we've never met with them. You've never had an eye-to-eye discussion with them, got feelings for them about how they actually, you know, as opposed to this reading a piece of paper. I will, you know, want to put it on record that that's how this was done.
Well, I would say that many of these people are respected in the community, so I don't think it's a matter of whether or not they can lie. I think it's a matter that
these people are
many of
probably
these
all wonderful.
people have lived.
Sir, if you could. I'm not saying this is no disparaging on any of these candidates that are chosen by the mayor. I have no problem. I'm sure these are all fine and wonderful people. It's not about the people that were chosen. It's about the process of how they were chosen, and the ones that weren't chosen. I want to get on record how that was done. So it's in the public record that there was never an interview process done one-on-one with any of these candidates. Yes or no?
There was not a direct interview process, but there are candidates that reached out to our office.
Okay. Did you reach out to any of these people and ask them questions? Have you met with any of these folks?
We have not met with all of the applicants, but as stated before,
if you meet with some applicants and not the others, is there an unfair advantage to the ones you met with without giving everyone the chance to meet?
No, we did. As I stated before, when I say meet, we did not meet with applicants. Some people proactively reached out to our office and we answered those questions. But when names like Anna Crossland come to our office, I don't think it's not a matter as if
again, I'm not worried mentioning these people's names. I'm sure they're all fine people. You know, as a committee, we really can't actually vote on this. We're here just to hear discussion on the process and make that process public, how it was done. In light of many things as far as decision making in City Hall, I would want to get this on public record. This was done without any public interviews or invitations to the 22 candidates. Is that correct? Yes or no, sir?
I'm not going to belabor the point. There were no interviews that were formal interviews that were part of the process.
That's what I was asking you, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not putting you on trial. I just want.
Sure.
We are servants of the city of St. Louis. If we're going to seat people on a commission where they're going to basically changing, as in the mayor's words, the foundation of how our city functions, I think that there should be everyone should know how this was done.
Ooh. Well.
I will add a little bit of context here. So we had the elections in April. People were sworn in, whatever, later that month. And then I can't remember. I want to say maybe it was in May, when the it was May, I think. I think that's when the applications kind of opened up for this opportunity. And then I don't remember when it closed, but it closed. And I know they were speaking in the committee that over 100 folks, they had over 100 people apply. And I guess they kind of, went through the requirements and looked at people's resumes, whatever. And then from that 100 something, it was 22 folks that were kind of whittled down from that over 100. And so that's what Alderman Vollmer is saying, that 22. I guess that those folks that had made it past that first round, he's saying that they weren't reached out to. There was no formal interview process to go from the 22 to the 9. So I wanted to kind of clarify that for folks to add that bit of clarity there.
It's interesting. It's just interesting.
I know. And like I served in a capacity on a board or commission, which that's another story for another day.
Okay.
But I wasn't like interviewed or anything for it.
No, they usually. I mean, I guess it just depends on the board or the commission, but I mean, yeah, usually you just have to submit an application, and people, get chosen.
Either yay or nay.
Yep.
But I guess again, like I don't think that probably wasn't considered or thought, really like specified when the bill was passed and everything, and then it was put on the ballot. But I mean, I guess he feels like because of the nature of this commission,
They should get more engagement before just because I mean it's changing the charter, right, in the city, so that is a big responsibility. And again, as he said, nothing against these folks. I don't know these people. One name is familiar, but other than that, I don't know these people. And it would be very much, good to know if these or anybody is like direct. I know you talked about this a little bit. Community, like direct community. And when I think of community, I have I have some people lens of community is different, Kelly.
Yeah.
So I don't think of people working in community, because that's kind of what I would consider us in a sense, are people working in community. But people who are in community are those, in my brain, are the people that live the day-to-day in those spaces, in those areas, who have the lived experience and impact of living in the city. So like, even if this person was a county resident, I don't think that would be fair. Like, as a county resident, I don't know nothing about the city. Honestly, not much other than what I learned in this space. So yeah, I think it definitely needs some of that in there, but I don't know if that's happening. That would just be something that I would highly suggest, but it's too late now. So anyway.
Well, so and during the committee meeting, all 9 of the mayor's I guess choices or approvals or whatever were present during the meeting. So they were able to introduce themselves and provide a little bit about who they were, and also I guess what they were looking to do and accomplish serving on this commission. So y'all see the list there. You have there's a pastor on there. You have, I know, like a former executive director on there. There's a business owner, like small business owner, a dude who's like, again, as he spoke to, has a lot of experience in economic development. There's a lady on here who served in leadership with the International Institute. I know there's an attorney who does a lot of work around like labor law. So making sure that all folks, work and have their rights and they're paid well. So, I mean, so they were able to speak to, again, their experiences, kind of what made them, what gave them the juice, right? To serve in this role and what they look to do. And so ultimately, during the full Board of Aldermen meeting, all 9 of these folks were given the green light by the Board of Aldermen. And during the committee, when they were present, Alderman Vollmer, who I believe he's also the chair of that committee, he, opened the floor if any of the other alder people, had any questions or comments or whatever. And so they didn't really ask them any other questions or anything like that. But this is it, y'all. This is it. These are the 9 folks who made the cut and will be serving on the City of St. Louis's Charter Commission.
Okay. Well, I look forward to see what's coming from this space.
No, I know. It's gonna be real interesting. It's
I'm
gonna
sure.
be real interesting. To see what these recommendations is given. And they also taught some of the people in there, they were talking about engaging the community. So we'll see. So to be continued, y'all, to be continued. And the last thing, y'all, I know. There were 2 public safety bills perfected by the Board of Aldermen on Friday. So one, and I feel like I've been talking about these bills for it feels like for a long time, especially the first one, Board Bill 29, sponsored by Alderwoman Spencer. If passed, it would make it unlawful for folks to openly, walk around like, the AR-15 is like one of those cross body bags without a carry conceal permit. So like I said, that was perfected by the Board of Aldermen, and they actually perfected that what's called in bank, meaning that basically they're all sponsors or co-sponsors of the bill. So obviously that shows the unity, like of the full Board of Aldermen. Like that makes a statement. So when they pass things or move to do something in bank, they're making a statement showing that they're all.
There's a lot of people that's down for it. Got it. Oh, okay.
So,
I never heard of it.
So that was perfected. I'm sure it'll be passed this week. Also, the Right to Know Act, aka Board Bill 82, sponsored by Alderman Aldridge. Sorry, y'all, about the typo. I do have to shout out my Monday Night Live guest last week, Miss Gwendolyn Brown, aka my grandmother, because we spoke about this and she had a lot to say. And y'all, like, I literally had to have an entire sit down conversation with her on what she could and could not say on our platform, because I'm not trying to get canceled while we're trying to build. And so she had a lot to say about this bill, y'all. If y'all recall, she did. If you didn't catch it, check it out. She was not checking for this. I will just say it like that.
Really?
Yes, yeah, she wasn't. However, in spite of Gwendolyn Brown's feelings about the bill, the Board of Aldermen perfected this. And again, for those that maybe weren't able to catch our conversation, but this bill, it will require, if passed, it will require police officers to identify themselves with a business card with all their information and the what is it? Yes, Shonda, you will. I gave you a fair warning. But so yeah, when police officers, when they're requesting a person consent to a search, they have to present them with a business card with all of their contact information, badge number, all of that. And the back of the card has the information for the Civilian Oversight Board. So if people want to file a complaint or provide a compliment, whatever. And the bill, it also lays out that a person has the right to not get searched. And then there's also some things around the police department documenting those things too. So, but the Board of Aldermen, they perfected that. I think there were maybe a couple of alder people that voted against that. But more than likely, it will pass.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a very interesting conversation.
I think they should be able to identify themselves. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I'm in between. Cause you know how some people be like, we don't need police. But I'm just saying, like, how many of us walking around our neighborhoods policing them? So we should definitely, if we don't need police, we need to figure out a new way to, because especially we be talking about stop snitching, we got to pick a side, y'all. Pick a side. Which side we, like, what we doing? What is we doing? Because I think they should be able to say, hey, this is me and I'm requesting to, search you. But in certain situations, like, what if we in a restaurant and you packing and the restaurant says that you can't bring in your gun, I don't know, like, is that for places like yesterday when I went to the concert, like, can they not search you there? Or is it just specifically to the police? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so it is specific to the police, and
okay.
also it's like certain, what do they call them, exemptions. So there are like certain
Okay.
situations where that don't apply. You know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
they talk through it. I can't, remember all of them. But to your point, it's in certain situations.
Certain
So,
situations, gotcha. Like, they can't just pull over somebody and be like, "Oh, let me search you." I get it. Okay.
oh wait, we got a question from a viewer.
Will the police really comply? Sean, a great question. How are we going to enforce this? That's the question, right?
And so and it was,
oh Lord, do they get write-ups? What happens if they don't comply? That's the question too. What happens if they don't comply?
I can't tell you what that is. I do know, listen to it was a committee meeting, and listening to representatives from the police. You had the new chief, super East Coast dude.
Yeah, the new guy.
He was there, and then someone else representing the Police Officers Association. So y'all know we got two different police officers associations in the city of St. Louis, right? Yeah, I know. So anyway, they were present, and it was just interesting because they kept saying that it is policy for police officers to identify themselves. Like, they kept saying, like, this is policy. I mean, technically, yeah, like, they're supposed to, like, if you ask a police officer that information, their badge number, all that stuff, they're not supposed to cover it up. They are supposed to like, that's what they're supposed to do. And even talking about the searching, that's because they were saying that's already their policy. But something that kept coming up through the conversation was, hell, as a resident, where can I find this policy if it ain't online?
True.
So supposedly all of this stuff is in their policy, Shonda. Currently already is in their policy. So will this ensure, you know what I'm saying, more compliance? I mean, I don't know. And then to your point, Vanna, what will happen
afterwards
if they're not, right? If they don't comply.
Slap on the wrist, is it a warning? Do you get a write-up? Do you get transferred to another district so you can go do it? No, I was playing. Okay.
I mean, I have no clue, y'all.
This is interesting.
To be continued. Again, we have a new police chief, super East Coast guy. Super East Coast. Super East Coast. And granted, he just started, so he needs some time to, acclimate to things as an outsider. And he was the first chief, y'all, that was appointed not from St. Louis, not from within the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department in the history. So he, again, you can say things. And so, I mean, he was saying how obviously they're all for transparency and accountability. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Whew, interesting.
I know, y'all. All right. Look at that. We have stuff shaking and popping. Please come out. We're going to have our community meetup on Saturday at our spot, the Julia Davis Library, 10 a.m. We are launching our campaign, y'all, to transform 314, transform our region. Please come out, get a little bit more information. We're going to be, providing little intel, Y'all going to hear the news first from us on what our campaign entails, and also, most importantly, how we can engage collectively. So register through Eventbrite so I can make sure I got enough refreshments for people. 10 a.m., Julia Davis Library off Natural Bridge. Also, you know, we got to represent Kicking It for a Cause.
Kicking it for a cause.
Yes. So our next one is July 27th. Dang, that's a week. Jeez, Louise, this
is the next Thursday. It's the next.
Yes, next Thursday.
Thursday after. No, it's next Thursday.
It's next Thursday, girl.
Oh my god.
No, I know, because I was like, dang. So yes, and our topic, how you doing? Mental health check-in. So please come through at in the Loop, Black-owned establishment in the U City Loop. Yep. Doors open at 6. Y'all know how we do.
Yes, food, fun, and talking about mental health. So all of them therapists and counselors, y'all tap in too. Come be in the space. Maybe you get to connect with some residents, some community residents that might to be looking for y'all services. So
yeah. And make sure you register through Eventbrite, y'all. I know we don't like to register. Please register so we make sure there's enough food for people. Please do that. Please
yes. We want to make sure we got enough for y'all. Yep.
All right. So do you have any special announcements for the people before we close?
What's going on? What's going on in this world? Other than Kicking It for a Cause, the Hoods Connect, we working on our first Arts in the Park event. I'm super excited about this.
Oh yeah, because it was rescheduled, right? Because
it was. We had rescheduled it because
we wanted a lot of events.
Yeah, we wanted to be respectful. We not in competition. We in collaboration. So we was like, nah, we not finna be doing that. So we did postpone it. It is August 6th. It's a Sunday. We're gonna be at January Wabash Park. I got a lot of my mamas coming out. We're gonna have an arts project. Shout out to the CAM. They're providing the arts what did you call it? I can't even think right now. Art activity. Sorry, y'all. I'm falling asleep over here. You know, your girl is an early riser, not a night crawler. But so yeah, we're gonna have an art activity. It's gonna be barbecue, music. Kids gonna, be able to play at the park. We're gonna have some sitters on site. A great little intimate space where we could just do some art, be creative, and just enjoy the outdoors. So I'm super excited again about this, and I'm hoping we could just keep building it from here. So bringing Black excellence and creativity together. So that's the goal.
What date is that again?
August 6th.
Okay.
Yep, it is on Eventbrite too. So if you go and lock in at Kicking It for a Cause, you will also see Arts in the Park. But yeah. Or follow the Hood Talks podcast on social media, Instagram, Facebook. We everywhere. So yeah, that's all I got. That's it. That's all.
All right, y'all. Well, stay hydrated.
Yes, stay cool, stay dry, cause it's rain, Lord.
Yeah, this is some crazy weather we got. Climate change is real. But y'all stay hydrated, stay safe out there. And I'll be here next week, same time, same place. Until then, peace.
Deuces, y'all.